Hi, Mac.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, and we made it.
We did, yes.
The final day of ComicCon is I guess, not technically in the books, but in the books for us.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you feel less exhausted than you normally do at this point?
you know what? I feel maybe less exhaustive, but more like a couch potato. Like,
I think all of us right about now. So
because at ComicCon, not only are you running around the convention center, but there's like crazy stuff happening all over the Gaslamp district. So, and then you're walking back to your hotel a lot of times because the shuttles are kind of so like. There's a lot of walking. Like I usually lose a lot of weight at Comic-Con because it's like, you're hustling and bustling, don't have a heck of a lot of time to eat. Um, you know, and I kind of equate it to like, so typically for me, if Marvel's doing a presentation, it's usually Saturday, and I'll stay all day on Saturday in Hall H. And I feel miserable afterwards because I stayed
Right.
all day in Hall H. But then usually like Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, even Tuesday, like I kind of like I'm running around, so it's okay. I feel like every day this year was a Hall H day where I just sat. I mean, because I saw a lot more panels because there was like always, other times we have to kind of pick and choose,
Right.
based on what Disney's doing. But this year I could basically watch. There's always something to watch, like every hour. And so, I think after we're done here, I'm going to go for like a jog because I just need to move my body.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like being stuck in Hall H all day without having a single Hall H caliber panel.
Yeah, well, and I've talked about this before. It's not always about what you want to see. Sometimes it's just great to get a rise out of what other people are excited about. Like, whether it's, I'm trying to think, like we keep bringing this up, but there was this thing called Critical Role, I think, which was some like show, and like it wasn't Hall H, but it was I want to say room 6 BCF, which is like one of the maybe like top 3 size rooms they have, filled to the brink of something I never heard of. But it's still fun to hear people go cheer, and as you're Googling, like, what the heck is this?
Right.
Like, who are these people? And so, and like last year, like I'm a Star Trek fan, but I don't normally go to like a Star Trek panel because I'm there to work and Star Trek isn't Disney yet. But like last year, I we sat through the Star Wars panel, which was like a lot of fun and kind of brought back the old, like a lot of my old fandom that kind of atrophied because I've been so focused on Disney.
Right.
And what's funny about that was I don't know if anyone's out there has seen Picard, the Star Trek show. Starfleet Academy is located at the Anaheim Convention Center. Like that's what they used to film Starfleet. And so I have many memories from the Anaheim Convention Center from D23 Expos, and I thought it was hilarious that the next Star Wars celebration was going to be held at Starfleet. Like letting the Star Wars start. Like I could just imagine this whole Star Trek Star Wars battle like reinvigorating because of Star Wars celebration at Starfleet.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, and it's funny because like they have security. We're going on a tangent that no one cares about. So, how did your morning start?
Well, the first thing I watched today would be the Hoops panel, which is an animated series from 20th Century Fox Television, which I'm still wondering when they're going to change that name. But it's a series actually made for Netflix. So that was interesting, too, to be covering something, I'm so used to everything being Hulu or even Disney+. But yeah, Netflix series coming out. It was a bunch of the cast, and this show has a phenomenal cast. Like this was easily the most entertaining panel I watched in all the 4 days.
Really?
It was hilarious, to be honest. We again didn't give us a ton of news or a ton of information about the show, really. But it was just, and some of this cast, I mean, Jake Johnson, Rob Riggle, Natasha Leggero, Ron Funches, and then one of the guest stars on the show, who was the moderator, I use that term very loosely for this panel, was Max Greenfield. So if you've ever seen the sitcom New Girl, Jake Johnson and Max Greenfield were co-stars on that show. And I mean, their relationship and the relationship with all the actors on this panel really showed immediately. It was like watching a 45-minute Zoom call with a bunch of friends from college. That's essentially what this panel was.
So the show is a 1 hour introspective drama about what? What's the show like?
So it's an animated series, an adult animated series. They actually referred to it as an X-rated Simpsons.
Oh.
So yeah, they a lot of them, and this is a cast, that's been in some like sort of raunchy comedy kind of stuff, and they all called it like the filthiest thing they've ever seen. So not something that would typically get me excited, but this cast is so funny, and like I said, this panel was so entertaining. So it was. I'm looking forward to the show now, and it's about a high school basketball coach who has a really terrible team, but somehow thinks that he's going to turn it around and sort of make it big as a basketball coach. So it's an interesting concept, and like I said, just a great cast.
How about this for a segue? You ready? Next, you did Next.
Nice, well done.
Thank you.
I'll
be here for another 10 minutes.
It's funny going into the day and looking at what I had ahead of me. I would have been more excited for Hoops than I was for Next. But now, after having seen both panels, Next actually looks very, very interesting. It's a drama starring John Slattery, from the Iron Man and Avengers movies, as well as Mad Men and a bunch of other things too. But Marvel. So it's a drama based on artificial intelligence, right? So like they are, it's a runaway artificial intelligence that is becoming dangerous, and they are trying to hunt it down. They actually, John Slattery specifically called it a manhunt without the man. So and they showed the panel opened up by showing us the opening scene from the premiere episode, and it was very exciting, very dark, and sort of like it's a thriller. It's an edge of your seat kind of thriller series. So it looks very interesting.
I actually watched this panel, and they had this sort of chase, like, guy who's obviously on the run from the AI, and like that was really cool to see.
Yeah. So, see how the artificial intelligence uses different technology to its advantage. It was really interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, there's real concerns about AI, taking over the world. Like, I think I listened to a podcast where it talks about things that like could destroy humanity, and AI is always on that list. Along that and asteroid are like the two I hear the most.
That sounds like a really fun, lighthearted podcast.
Well, it actually is, but it's just like it's interesting to think because when you think about the things that the world could face, I think if the pandemic has taught us one thing, it's like sometimes we should be prepared for the things that happen in the movies, even if they might not happen. It's better,
right.
Sometimes. I'm not quite sure what happened there. 1 second. Okay.
So we should be ready for Skynet, is what you're saying.
What's that?
We should be ready for Skynet, is what you're saying.
Right? Like, they're I'm just saying, when suddenly Terminator 2, who cares? Terminator 2 disappears from like Amazon and we don't know why. Start to worry. Another thing that you didn't do, we didn't fully cover it, but the Goldbergs is coming back for season 9. Season 8.
Yeah.
And they usually start the season off of an homage episode. Like last year was Vacation, where they went to Disneyland.
Right.
And this year it will be one of my favorite 80s movies, Airplane. And so I am excited because I not only do I love Airplane, I like often rewatch the Delta 80s safety video where they featured Airplane because I really like Airplane. Airplane probably had more influence on my life than any one singular movie probably had, in terms of like my sense of humor and my sense of joy.
I never heard you say that before, but now that you do, it totally makes sense.
Yeah, it's we're probably gonna have to do like a whole live stream just talking about Airplane when this episode airs, because I have a lot to say about the topic, but after I feel like it's a topic I have to say when I'm in the mood to be witty, and after 4 days of ComicCon at home, it's not happening. But yeah, so so I think that's a wrap from us. But in terms of panels, but you know what, this, you don't normally get to cover Comic-Con, right? You're usually the guy like writing up what's happening at Comic-Con and taking all of our tweets and info and press releases and turning into content. But and what we used to call it virtual coverage, when like we didn't have a reporter to be at the panel, but like we would say, Mac, like just follow the tweets, like follow what they announce, and then like pretend like we're there. I mean, not live, but you know, we would say like cover it like we're there, but none of us know what's happening.
Right.
So you actually got to see stuff this time. What was your Comic-Con at home experience like?
It was interesting. You know, it's hard for like, it's obviously a different perspective coming from me as from somebody who, you know, is typically at the event. There wasn't really much news that come out of the event as a whole. You know, a release date here, a new trailer there, but not really a whole lot. So it was more so for entertainment. And I will say a good percentage of the panels that I watched were entertaining and informative and interesting. So it was a fun experience. You know, I would look forward to getting back to, even as somebody covering it from home, I would look forward to getting back to the normal convention, I think.
You know, I think obviously I miss being there and I miss that, but I think the biggest challenge for me was that when you don't get, you know, there's not a lot of, I mean, I guess I could have gone social media and stuff, but there's not a lot of interaction
right
about what's happening. But also, you know, a lot of these shows and movies and stuff, they don't know what's happening to them. You know, you can't have a Marvel presentation when you don't know when these movies are coming out. And same with Star Wars, and you know, everything just got pushed back basically a year, you know, one way or the other from the start of this. And so I think a lot more had to do with that than the format. Like, I don't know that studios were against doing this,
right?
But you know, like the animated, I think the reason the animation panels were probably the best was because like their film, you know, they're still working, so they can say, "Hey, here's our release date. Here's a teaser of season 3 or whatever," and you just can't do that because they haven't filmed it, you know, yet for another show. So you know, you can. There's one thing to say, "Hey, we're going to do an airplane episode," but you know, it'd be funnier to show a scene from the airplane episode.
Sure, yeah.
And you know, it's not usually like this show will air sometime in, you know, 2020 or 2021. So you know, I got to thinking, like, what I would love is content will. There's the path we're going to be on is right. Content, they're going to start filming again, probably fairly soon, one way or the other. But you know, we're not. It's going to be a while before we're going to be comfortable going to a convention like this.
Sure.
I'd like to see something timed, whether it's a D23 thing or another Comic-Con at home or something that's timed between when they start filming and that world starts to get back to normal, and you know, we start going to movies again, and you know, the sort of return of real life conventions, because I feel like we could use that sort of kickoff to like the return of entertainment, scripted entertainment. And you know, this was a little too early for that. And you know, especially when Disney, when there's, you know, we're so used to at various times of the year, whether it's Star Wars Celebration, Comic-Con, D23, or even just, you know, big major press events or, you know, investor days, having something to look forward to. You know, I feel like we could all use a little bit of, while we're still at home, some excitement about getting out of the home again. So I hope something happens. I don't know who will produce it, you know, whether it's Comic-Con or D23 or whatever, but you know, I miss the excitement that comes with the future of entertainment than that I didn't get this time. You know, a lot of time, like I look back at some of the panels I was so excited to see for a new show or something that lasted like 12 episodes, but you know, you were still excited about it because you saw it at Comic-Con, they showed a cool teaser, and that's just not happening now. And I miss that feeling more than I miss being in San Diego.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do think there's another issue with this format that would keep us from getting, really big announcements, and that's the fact that most of these panels were recorded up to like a month in advance. And like these days, like any news that gets out there in any way, it's gonna leak, it's gonna get out there. It would kind of spoil those big announcements, I think. But yeah, I think you could change that. You could play around with it, record, closer to the actual date, or even try and do live panels, which would be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, I don't know why they were recorded so far early.
Yeah.
Some I think were probably like, I feel like New Mutants was a little closer than some of the other ones, but yeah, I mean, the live issue is always like, because it's funny, even with the pre-recording, there were still a lot of like technical glitches.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You're like, I don't know what you got, but I mean, except convenience of time and stuff. But if you're willing to go through all these lengths to do Comic-Con, DC, part of AT&T, I guess at this point, is doing like their own sort of Comic-Con at home. They have some sort of name of it. In August.
DC Fandom, I think.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, and I would like Disney to do something like that, whether it's just associated with one brand or combining everything into a sort of like a virtual expo. But whenever we kind of, I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has helped us a little bit, but I feel like we're going to be starving for Marvel content. I mean, we get comics every week. I don't want to downplay their importance, but it's going to be a while since we've had like straight up Marvel. I mean, it'll be over a year, right? The last one was Spider-Man.
Yeah, and that was in July, I believe. So yeah, it would have been over a year. And I mentioned this last night in our recap too. That's like right now, I'm excited for Hellstrom to come to Hulu, because like I said, we're starved for content. And I think in a normal year, Hellstrom probably would have been coming out, and I would have been thinking, okay, well, that's fine. But right now, that's like the most anticipated thing I have on my list, I think.
Yeah, and like for me, Black Widow was not high on my anticipation list for the only reason that like I'm excited because like they always do a great job and I always like end up being proven wrong. But like she's dead. Like I kind of feel like
it's not
progressing the story. Like what's the point of this movie? Now I know I will be proven wrong. But like it's not like like in the next Spider-Man movie where like where you're excited about what the role it's going to play, or even Ant-Man, or quite frankly anything that they're doing. But I felt like Blade was kind of like a palate. I mean, not Blade. Black Widow was like a palate cleanser. It's like okay, like like it's like a filler. But once again, I'm probably wrong. But she's dead, and so like, where's that character gonna go? Except being dead,
right?
But now I'm like, yeah, like this is the biggest Marvel movie of my generation. Like I'm just so excited to see anything that and we talked about it previously. It's like I've seen Mulan. I'm excited to see Mulan again because it's weird that I've seen this movie and it's not out yet. I'm used to seeing it like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Sometimes it even goes up to like a month, but
not like 6 months in advance.
I'm lucky it wasn't Black Widow. If I saw Black Widow at a screener and then it ended up not coming out and I couldn't talk about it. I mean, Mulan, I think you kind of know where the story's going to go. There is some cool moments in there, especially for well, I don't want to go there, but it's not like shocking revelations and twists and turns. Right. Credit scenes are going to change your perspective on the whole Disney universe. But
pumping you for Mulan information, basically.
Right? Yeah, So, but I'm excited for that movie to come out. I'm excited. I'm much more excited for Hellstrom. I'm much more excited for anything. Basically, if you filmed it, I will watch it. And, I hope that I mean, for many reasons, entertainment being not one of the top ones, but we can get back safely and can get back to enjoying life again. But not that we don't enjoy life, but
Enjoy life a little bit more, at least.
yeah, like it's great to see people at the park, being safe, and it seems like that's been successful in terms of non-transmittable disease. But obviously, that's the exception, not the rule.
Right.
And a lot of people are, obviously, Halloween's been canceled in terms of like themed entertainment. I'm guessing Christmas is not too far off. So, and so you kind of hope that 2021 will be a palate cleanser, like we'll get back in business.
Yeah, and that Halloween one hurts, man. That was a big loss for me.
It was funny because you put in to like have that day off, and I'm like, well, okay, but let's see. Like, I don't know how you do horror night social distancing, and I was like, well, and then I swear, like 12 hours later.
Yeah, I mean, it really was about almost exactly 12 hours later.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting. It's gonna be, I was with Regis Philbin passing, I was reading Variety, and they showed he was David Letterman's first guest after 9/11. And after 9/11, this country is a very different place than the country is now, even though they're, both hopefully the most traumatic events of my life. The way those events are viewed was very different. But it was interesting to hear them talk about, like, yeah, we hope that this is the worst thing we ever lived. This is going to be the worst thing we ever lived through. And, I don't know if that's the case anymore. I mean, it's different than a virus, but
right.
We will. I will always remember where I was when 9/11 happened, and I will always remember when the world shut down. And like those two moments, no matter how senile I get, will be in my memory forever. And quite frankly, I hope I don't see a third. But what gives me hope is, at the time, when 9/11 happened, I was just starting college, and I was able to see the world bounce back fairly quickly. Obviously we're still dealing with some of the lingering ramifications of it, but in terms of day-to-day life, it got back fairly quickly. And I hope it happens again here, because obviously ComicCon is not important in the scheme of the universe, but there is something to say about the world, people of diverse backgrounds and experiences coming together to celebrate the love of something, and which we do all the time at the parks. The parks are based on pure human experience, and that's all you need to be, is human, to get Disneyland. And I look forward to. I think those experiences will do the world a lot of healing.
Yeah, agreed, 100%.
So thanks so much, Mac. Enjoy your weekend, which I guess starts as soon as I hit end broadcast.
Okay.
We got a lot coming up in the next couple weeks on Laughing Place, so check them out. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Bye.